Hey there. In this video, I'll be covering BFD3. Hi. All right. Now, I was a little skeptical about getting this plugin because it got mixed reviews. Some people like it, other people hate it, other people are kind of like meh about it, But I'm a collector of plugins, especially drum plugins. And even though I have a buttload of them already, I really wanted to try this one out. Um, Unfortunately, the tutorial videos on this plugin are very old. They're anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. So I'm doing a video on the newest updated version, which is the BFD 3.5 version. And I've had it for about a week, and I do like it, okay? It's not bad, but it's also not great, all right? First things first, the price of this is $200, all right? But the content is pretty plentiful. It's over 48 gigs. And as opposed to the David Bendeth plugin, it only took 15 minutes to install. You are also going to need, if you're going to purchase this plugin, you're going to need to create an account with InMusic. The reason why is because that's how BFD registers your plugin and all of the expansions. Some people don't like that either, but I found it to be very easy. It was no problem. Everything downloaded very easily and installed right into BFD3 afterwards. So it wasn't that big of a deal. As far as the content goes, pretty plentiful, like I said. But I bought 6 other expansions just to broaden my horizons. And they are pretty good, and they ranged anywhere from 40 something to 60 something, and they weren't that big. They were anywhere from about a gig and a half to 2 gigs to, I think the biggest expansion was 8 gigs. All right, so I have a ton of extra kit pieces. For instance, let's go to the drums and cancel out the kick. And as you can see here, I have quite a few additional kit pieces here. What the hell is Bosphorus? I never heard of Bosphorus before. I've heard of Sabian, Zildjian, Paiste, but never Bosphorus. But you have a whole bunch of those, which are included in the content. See the Canopus. Those are all expansion, and I have a whole bunch of percussion, which is one of the other expansions that I got. You have household items. I mean, the list goes on and on. Gongs and women's heels. Why they would be there, I don't know. But as long as I'm in this menu, this is how you can sample or audition the drums and the kit pieces. And this is also how you add a kit piece. See how you have the little check mark and the X? If you want to use the household coffee can for the kick, you just click the check mark and it'll be added to that mixer slot. If you don't want it, just click the X. It'll stop blinking and you can continue. We've got frying pans and kibasas and caxixes, claves and maracas. Remember, this is all expansion right here, okay? So, but I just want to show you the amount of stuff that I do have. See, it just goes... Someone left a message on my phone. The list just goes on and on. And the reason why I decided to get these expansion packs is because I just wanted to have a lot more crashes and kicks and snares, cymbals, and also stuff to just mess around with when I'm creating the kits, which I'll get to later. Okay? Now, this plugin is not without its faults. Okay? First of all, let me go to... Oh, shit. Okay, I don't want that. I'm gonna have to find it now. There we go. Okay, no, I don't want that block stick. Okay. Let me go to the grooves. And you have a bunch of grooves to start off with as well. And I have this preset kit loaded right here, which has... Okay, I'm not sure which kick this is, but I'm going to have to scroll to find it. It should just click right to it. There we go. Okay. That's it. Okay, I have a Mapleworks kick, a Tama snare, a Bosphorus hi-hat, a Gretsch high tom, mid tom, and floor tom, Bosphorus crash, and a Zildjian sweet ride. Oh no, Bosphorus crash. Oh really? That's a ride? Zildjian sweet ride and a Bosphorus ride. Okay, whatever. And the percussion is a clap. So like for instance, let's go to clap, and let's say I want to add a splash, or maybe an ice bell, because I don't want the clap. Let's see. Okay, that'll work. I'll click the check mark, and boom. Now I have a splash. Okay. All right, so let me get back to the grooves. This is what I was getting to. You have a lot of grooves, okay? If you want to audition one of the grooves, either track or palette has to be selected right here. That one's actually kind of annoying. See, I don't like grooves with a shitload of cymbals or crashy cymbals. All right, it's a little swingy. Want to get something good. Okay, there we go. All right. Now, although you do have a shitload of grooves, okay, and most of them sound really good, unfortunately, BFD3 will not sync to your host. It will, I'm sorry, it will sync to your host, but for instance, if you want this to play at 103 BPM, or if you want this one to play at 127, or this one to play at 93, so select this one. Okay. That's still playing at 120 BPM, which is my default BPM. Okay, let's try a slower one here. Okay. In order for BFD to unsync to your host, you have to use it in standalone. That kind of sucks in a way, to tell you the honest truth. So that's a bit of a problem. So whenever you're you're auditioning any of these grooves, they're going to play at your default host's BPM or your host's default BPM. So that's one thing. The other thing is trying to render one of these grooves to a MIDI file or an audio file is an extreme pain in the ass. And I have tried many attempts to render a groove to an audio file, and after it's rendered, it sounds like shit. It's muffled and distorted. The other thing that I don't like is the only support that you have is a bot named Riff. Okay? There's no phone number. There's no email. Well, if they had a phone number, they would be flooded with calls. But there's no actual email to to create a ticket of some kind. And that's frustrating as hell. So I guess I'm just going through some of the cons first, just to let some of you people know if you're planning on buying this thing. It has, I guess you could say it has more good than bad. Okay, but the cons are pretty frustrating. So there's that, and the other thing is this right here gets a little confusing. See all these sends and everything, which you can turn off, by the way, by clicking this drop down and deselecting signal. See, because that gets, they're like cables that get in the way, So you have a whole bunch of other stuff that you can check off or deselect or whatever. Like if I don't want the auxiliary channel showing, I can turn that off. I can also turn off the metronome. You can also do that in the preferences. Okay. A lot of stuff to change around in the preferences. Me personally, I didn't really mess around with this, but you do have a lot of options as far as the preferences are concerned. So, okay. Yeah, the other thing is renaming. Like, for instance, this right here is stupid. Crash 1, symbol 1. Okay. I don't want that. Like, I want this right here to be Crash 2. Now, watch what happens when I press enter. Oh, I actually didn't get a warning sign? All right, let's try it with perk. I want this to be a splash. Okay, now it proved me wrong. Well, when I was creating kits before, I'm very picky about renaming kit pieces on the tracks. When I wanted to, all right, this is only one ride, so let me try this. Just ride, that's it, not ride 1. Okay. Well, at one point when I was trying to rename the kit pieces on the tracks, it wouldn't allow me to do that. I would get some kind of error saying that you can't rename because of some other, I don't even remember what the error message was, but obviously I can do it now, which is cool. All right. Let's see, grooves, auto. Okay, you have a whole bunch of presets, and right here, this is one that I created, A1 empty. So if I want to create a kit, I'll just click this, and then I can start adding kit pieces, which is easy as hell. Okay. Presets and kits. I don't know why there's 2 menus here. There should just be one browser for the presets, and that's it. We don't need presets and kits. So I don't know. You can also hide this menu by clicking this arrow here. You also have another arrow here, which reveals more info about the kit piece that you have currently selected right here, and mic options, the model and the mics right here. Now, me personally, I don't process a lot of the kit pieces on the actual plugin. If I want to do that, I will route each individual kit piece to their own outputs, as you can see here, which you can do. I haven't done it, but eventually I probably will. See, you have auxiliary reverbs and side chains and shit like that. You know, I don't do all that in here. I do that externally. But you have that option. As long as I'm here, here's the effects. See, I don't want any effects at all. Okay. Sends. You know, I don't need to side chain anything. I don't, you know, I like to keep everything as bare as possible. Okay. And tweaks. So you have a ton of options as far as processing your kit pieces, you know. And you have a mute and solo, and reversing the polarity here, which is something else I also don't do. See, because I like my kit pieces to sound as dry and as unprocessed as possible, especially when it comes to these. Like, I don't like a shitload of reverb on my snare or my kick. If I want that, you know, I'll add a little reverb or, you know, whatever in my workstation. But like I said, you have a whole bunch of options here if you want to do that. Okay. Which brings me to the effects page. Okay. This was also a problem. Yeah, let me just close this out. Okay. You can add up to 6 effects. Okay. I don't think you really need that much. You can also reorder the effects by clicking and dragging here, as you can see. And the problem is that I wanted to add, what did I want to use here? I think a compressor, yeah. Or I think there was already a compressor here, but I just wanted to add an EQ. Filters, yeah. As soon as I selected EQ, it crashed, and it crashed Ableton. So just want you to be aware of that. So I'm going to turn off all the effects. No effects, okay? Okay. And as long as I'm next to the effects, here's the groove editor. This is where you can create your own grooves and add and mute and solo and all sorts of good stuff. And you have 2 different hamburgers here. You have this, which expands each of the kit pieces. Like, for instance, the crash, you have the bell and the edge, you know, close tip, you know, whatever. But if you don't want that, just click this one and you'll just have the kit pieces right here. Each kit piece that is selected, all of the notes will be highlighted. Okay. There's also an enormous amount of stuff you can do here by changing the time signature. And check this out, rudiments. You can select single stroke 4, multiple bounce rolls, paradiddles, flam taps, flam drags, you know, and you can also sample by clicking the audition triangle here. And you'll also get a little readout of what it is, which I think is pretty cool, especially if you're a beginner. Okay. So tons of stuff to do within the Groove Editor. But me personally, I use grooves to just jam along to. Okay. Now here is another problem, which really pissed me off. Let's go back to the grooves. Okay. I was watching one of the tutorials, which, like I said, was fairly old. I think it was like 7 or 8 years old. And the instructor displayed how you can, quote, drag and drop the grooves into your workstation and create a MIDI file. For some reason, I can't do it. It won't work. I tried it with Ableton and FL Studio, and the damn thing will not allow me. See, I'm dragging and dropping. See, there's the little icon there to drag and drop. Once I drop it onto one of the tracks, I just keep getting a working icon. Drop it, no good. So I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Because when I'm using Addictive Drums or Easy Drummer, I can easily just drag and drop one of the MIDI files right into the track slots or one of the tracks with no problem. Same thing with rendering audio. Piece of cake. Works like a charm. Have no problems. This BFD3 is going to give you problems with that. And don't expect any help from support because, like I said, it's a bot. And you can't send in a ticket, which really sucks ass. So that's another problem. But, like I said, I mean, I use these plugins to jam along to and route the kit pieces to my module just so I can create kits because I love the drum plugins and being able to just jam along on my eKit or module because this is an Alesis Strike multipad. So I have 9 pads and 2 pedals that I can mess around with once I start creating kits. Okay. Now I'm not going to go through all the shit up here, because that's all pretty much self-explanatory. You have the transport bar, and if you don't want a groove to play, you click groove off. Go to the grooves, press play, and the groove won't play. But it just went right to palette. Okay. Oh, isn't that strange? Now it's playing? Don't know. Track. Mm-hmm. Palette. Okay. Yeah, here's another problem. Well, I wouldn't say problem, but something that's kind of unnecessary, which is you have 2 menus here in the grooves panel. You have palettes and grooves. Okay, here's the groove. Okay, and here's the groove in the palette, and then you have grooves here. See, it's very confusing. And it says closed hi-hat. What the fuck? So, even though BFD has a lot to offer, the interface is pretty convoluted. And there's a little too much going on here. Okay? So, like I said, I'm just going through the cons first, and then I'll get into the kit building and the key map, which is another thing that was not demonstrated in any BFD3 tutorial. It was either completely glossed over. They would go over the kits and they would go over the effects and the groove editor. Then they would get to the key map and then they would say, well, I'm not really going to get into this. And they would go right back to doing whatever the fuck they were doing before. Others would go to the key map and say, well, yeah, you can map this and the other thing and stuff like that there. And then that's it. It's done. You're like, get a little more into it, which is what I am going to do. Okay. So the effects, groove editor, key map. Yeah. And this over here, that's a little weird as well. Like I said, you have presets, then you have kits, then you have drums and grooves, automation. And then this is like a whole other window here. Like they need to update this plugin because BFD is no longer owned by F-Expansion. It's owned by Alesis. So trying to get them to actually update this plugin is probably going to be a miracle because I read some posts online that there may or may not be a BFD4 update, which would kind of suck because this thing needs help, okay? Like I said in the beginning, it's good, but it's not great. But I bought it just for the expansions and how easy it is to actually create a kit, which is something that I do appreciate a lot. All right. As long as I'm in this window here, one of the things that I do like is that when you select a kit piece, it automatically directs you to that specific mixer track, which is helpful. You can audition the kit pieces by clicking on them here. Okay. And as you see these little lines here inside the cymbals and the snare, you do have zones. Like right here, you have the rim or the side stick. Then you have the rim shot, and then you have the actual center hit. As you move your mouse closer to the edge and inward to the drum. You have that with the toms as well. And the cymbals. You have the bell, and then the actual ride, and then the shoulder. See? Pretty cool. You do have an audience perspective as well as a drummer perspective, which I actually heard while I was turning that around. Let's crash this again. Actually. You hear that? Pretty cool. And if you don't want to audition any of the kit pieces here by clicking your mouse, just deselect, select, and you won't be able to hear any of the kit pieces. But, why wouldn't you, Okay. This icon here shows the amount of memory that each kit piece is using. I don't know why that's there, but it's there. And if you click this little info button, let's select the kick. It will give you all the information on that one kit piece. Snare, hi-hat, tom, whatever you have selected. That info will give you all of the information, which is pretty cool. You can also rotate the kit like so. And you can also scale the kit by clicking and dragging here. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. That's kind of cool. Okay, so now we're getting into the good stuff. Some of the things that I do like about this plugin. Presets, kits, drums, grooves, automation. Okay, so this is basically the kit window with the effects and the groove editor and the key map. Okay, so seeing as how I already have this kit already mapped, there's the kick, hi-hat, snare, all three toms, ride, both crashes, and the splash. I don't have to map anything. But if you are going to create your own kit and you want to map the kit pieces, you are going to have to basically do that all over again. So this is a preset kit, which is this one right here. So I'm going to click empty, which is what I created. So if I want to just create a kit, this will come up and then I can start creating. So this is how you do it. And it's very, very simple, which is cool. And this is something I do like. All right. Let's say I want to add this Mardi Gras kick. Now, can you do a... Yeah, you can do a drag and drop too, which is really cool. Like if you want to add 2 kick drums. That I do like. All right. So, all right. Yeah, just for the sake of argument, I'll add this kick. Okay, so now it's loaded. Oh, what do you know? It's already mapped. Okay, cool. That's also loud as fuck, so let's turn it down. Okay, it's a little better. See, this is also something right here that I don't need. I don't want the kick out, the kick in, kick out, kick sub. And I can't remove that channel for some reason. I don't know why. Remove all unused direct mic channels for slot. Okay. Oh, okay. It cleared the whole goddamn thing. All right. Let's see. Directs. Yeah, that's all the direct inputs right there. Hey, okay. Yeah, let's try renaming this. Okay, kick. All right, now let's select a snare. All right, this is what, the DW Mardi Gras. Okay. Let's try and find a fitting snare. All right, I kind of like that. Snare top. Okay. Snare. All right. Let's go to hi-hats. Okay, that's cool. Okay. All right, let's go to toms. Let's see how this sounds. Sounds pretty good. I like the sound of that snare. I like poppy, cracky snares. All right, so we have the kick and hi-hat, snare, 3 toms, all right. Now let's add the crashes. Crash 1. These are all rides. Medium thin crash. All right, just for the sake of argument, I'll go for that. Okay. And I think these are mapped as well. And you can pan each kit piece, like this is the right crash. Wait. Okay, we'll get to the ride. All right. And the last one will be This will be a splash. How about a frying pan? Yeah. We don't want that shit. We need more cowbell. Triangle. I'm late for my triangle lesson. Yeah, see, now that's another problem. Let's turn this all the way the fuck down. It's still bleeding. I don't know why. Oh, for fuck's sake. Seriously? Is that the reason why? See? Nice and dry. Don't make me do something I don't need to do. See that? Now I can adjust the volume the way I want. I mean, I guess that's like a mixer setting of some kind, you know? But, I mean, come on now. If I want all that shit, I would add it. See, this thing fucks with you a little too much. You know? Okay. So, now I can turn up the kick a little more. Okay, there we go. Can I remove that? No, I still can't do that. All right. So I have the kick, hi-hat. See, even that sounds a little better too. All right, the hi-hat or the crash is a little too far off there. That's another pet peeve that I have is, all this additional processing that I don't want. Okay? I mean, and it automatically gets turned back on again. There has to be something in the preferences where you can turn that off because, I mean, this is a kit that I created from complete and total scratch. And, I'll do the processing. I don't need your fucking help. So that's another one of my, one of the issues that I have with this plugin. As I said in the very beginning of this video, it's good, but it's not great. It has its flaws. There are some things you're going to have to deal with. There are other things you're going to get very frustrated with. But if you're like me and you just like having additional kit pieces to create your own kits and jam out with it later on your e-kit or your module, and you really don't give a shit about processing, like if you're not a singer-songwriter and you're just a drummer and you just want to jam and beat on things, that's what this plugin and other plugins are great for. I mean, I know singer-songwriters and guitar players and bass players and other musicians, whatever, like to use these plugins for basically replacing the drummer. Because let's face it, drummers are very underestimated and very underappreciated. It kind of sucks, but unless you're the late great Keith Moon or Neil Peart or John Bonham or drummers that have an enormous amount of flash and they do these solos that are like on another planet. Drummers in general really just don't get enough credit. I hate to say that, but it's very true. And when it comes to drum solos, about 98% of the audience winds up going to the restroom. Fucking drum solo. Let's get the hell out of here. Let's go get a beer. Yeah, let's go smoke a joint. Unless you're another drummer and you're like, yeah, fucking A, man. Nobody's really going to give a shit. I'm sorry. I had to throw that out there just because that's the way I feel, as a drummer. I mean, I've done the whole solo thing and shit way back in the day when I used to play a lot. And I got recognition, and people are like, "Hey, cool!" A few parties or whatever. It was fun, but drum solos are very unappreciated, and to tell you the truth, they're kind of unnecessary. People just want to hear the music; they don't want to hear the drums. They just want to feel the beat, and that's it. So that's just my own little addendum as far as being drummers being replaced when it comes to these things, because that's basically what it is. This is a drummer replacement. So, and that's why you have a buttload of grooves. But that's the way it goes. Okay. I went over just about everything there is to go over here, including creating a kit from scratch. Now, I can go to this hamburger and click File and save kit or save preset, and then give it a name, and it will wind up here on this in this menu. And instead of it saying A1 empty, it'll be whatever the fuck I call it, and I can select it from either the presets or the kits. Yeah, the presets. Okay, the kits are all pre-made. See, I have a bunch of orchestral and percussion and all sorts of stuff here. Do I want to save this kit? I kind of like that thing. And that's another thing. I'm not a soloist. Not anymore. When I used to do solos, I had a lot of fun. But in the immortal words of Rob Beatdown Brown, quote, "Stop relying on flash and fireworks. Okay? Don't worry about it being boring. You want it to work." So that's something I've come to realize, if you're a drummer, doing double 30-second note, double kick and twirling your sticks and playing with one hand and drinking coffee and playing with the other hand and having, 4 kicks and 1,000 toms and 1,000,000 cymbals and, having a big fucking pentagram over your head and wearing a mask really doesn't mean a goddamn thing. It's all about keeping time, keeping a beat, and being succinct and proficient as the visual timekeeper. Again, just my own thoughts. If you have a problem with that, I really don't give a shit. Okay? So I will finish up with the key map. And this is very easy as well. Let's say, okay, I don't really know why this happened, but everything was already mapped while I was creating this kit, and I didn't have to use the key map. But you have all of the kit pieces on the keys here. And that's like if you're using a MIDI controller with keys, like a Launch Key 37 or any other controller that has the keys. In this case, if I want to map the kit pieces to my module, let's see. Yeah, I can start MIDI learn. And then I will hit a pad because it's waiting for me to hit the pad in order for me to learn the snare. I hit the pad and it will give you 5 seconds to make up your mind. You can also change that in the preferences as well. And then that kit piece will be learned on whatever pad you have on your module or your e-kit. It's really easy. And then it'll go to the next kit piece, and then you map that, like the kick pedal. If I want to select the kick, or if I want to move on to the toms, you can do that as well. See, wait for MIDI input, and once you're done mapping all of the kit pieces, you can go to the hamburger here, and then you have save key map, and then give that a name, and then you can recall that anytime with whatever kit that you just created. So the key mapping is really very simple. That is another thing that I do like about this plugin. But as far as the cons go that I mentioned about not being able to drag and drop the MIDI files and your audio files turning out like shit and having all this extra processing while you're trying to create a kit that you don't really need, and everything else that I mentioned, those are things that you're going to have to deal with. And the customer service sucks a big fucking butt. Okay, because you're just not going to get it. You're going to get Riff, the bot, and that's all. And that's a big piss off. So, Alesis, do yourselves a favor, fix this thing, give it a huge update. As far as the GUI is concerned, let's pimp it out a little bit. Make it, a little more shiny, a little more good looking, because the GUI is a bit generic looking and outdated. That was another thing. That was probably the first thing I should have mentioned when I started this video. The interface is bland. Okay, Alesis, you hear me? Fix the MIDI drag and drop. Fix the audio export. Give us the ability to create without all this fucking sub and out and, the bottom and all this other shit that we don't have to deal with. Okay? If we want mics and if we want additional processing, we, as the consumer, will do that. Okay? I mean, I doubt anybody at Alesis is going to hear this. I mean, if they do, it'll be a fucking miracle. But I mean, shit, I already spent over $500 on your plugin, as well as a half a dozen expansions. I bought the fucking Strike Multipad about 2 years ago. Got the pedals. That was over $1,000. So, you know what? Stop fucking around, Alesis. Get your shit together and fix this plugin. Make it stand out in the crowd. Make it better. Make it bigger. Make it easier access. Fix the fucking problems. Because when I encountered these problems as I was messing around with this plugin, I was getting really pissed off. And I was like, God damn it, I wasted all this fucking money on this thing, and I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't, there are so many things that you can't do, which is bullshit, because you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want, especially if you pay over $200 for a plugin and expansions and everything else, So if I were to give this plugin a rating from 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 6. So there you have it, folks. That is my show and tell / tutorial on BFD 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care.